I came across a very interesting analogy recently. I was in a supermarket. I'm always in a supermarket. I live in the supermarkets. To me, it's like Disney World. There's food all over the place and plenty of rides in those shopping carts. By the way, have you ever gotten a shopping cart in any kind of store where the wheels weren't going in opposite directions, or it didn't like squeak so much that you felt like everybody was looking at you like you're creating a racket? What is it with shopping carts? What's the problem? Okay, anyway. When I get a good shopping cart, it's like it's made my day. It's like, well, this is going to be a good day. I got a quiet shopping cart. I know there's something wrong with me. So I'm in the supermarket, and they're having a 3-day sale on strawberries. Yeah. A large container of strawberries, fresh strawberries picked straight from your field, $1.50. What? $1.50 for a whole, like, gigantic container of strawberries? Yeah. So I go to the supermarket, and I'm looking at the strawberries through the plastic tub that they come in, and they look pretty good, man. They're strawberry colored, and there's just no fuzz. They look pretty damn good. I had a quiet shopping cart, $1.50 for a big plastic container of strawberries. It is going to be a good day. I go up to the register, and a lovely checkout girl. She's just lovely. Lovely personality. She says, "How are you today?" I said, "Fine, how are you?" Wow, conversation. She said, "You find everything you're looking for?" And I said, "Yeah, I was looking for the strawberries, and I found them." And she scans them, and she says, $1.50. I'm going to get myself quite a few containers of this. This is incredible. I said, "I know. It's the store that you work in, and you didn't know that?" She's giving me a line of bull. I mean, other people have bought strawberries for $1.50. She's at the register. She knows they're $1.50. But to me, she's like, "Oh, I'm going to have to get some for my family." I said, "Stop it. Just stop it." That's like someone walking up to you and saying, "Oh, those are very nice pants. Where'd you get those pants?" You don't care where I got the pants from. Who walks up to somebody and says, "Nice pants"? You don't do that unless you want something. It's like, all right. So I said, "Fine, thank you very much." And of course she responded the wrong way. I said, "Thank you very much," and she said, "No problem." I said, "Oh crap! Stop with the no problem thing." When I say thank you very much, you say you're welcome, not no problem. Where the hell did that come from? Now everybody's saying it. You're the most lovely person I've ever met. You're adorable. You're attractive. You're got a great personality. I love you. I just want to thank you for being in my life. No problem. No problem. No problem. Oh, thank you very much. We are deeply in love. No problem. Yeah, I'm deeply in love. No problem. It's not a problem for me. I got no problem being in love with you. Deeply. No problem. So I get home. I'm elated that I have this large container of $1.50 strawberries. And I open up the container when I get home. I get out my sharp knife so I can cut off the stem at the top. And I start cutting into the strawberries to slice them up for good keeping, to refrigerate them. I slice into the first strawberry, and it's little mushy inside. It's got that dark red instead of that real strawberry color, and it's a little mushy. So I toss that one in the garbage. And I take my knife and I cut into the next strawberry, same thing. Kind of squishy inside, not kind of mushy. They're supposed to be somewhat firm, you know. So I throw that in there. I go through the whole container. It's a big container of strawberries in this plastic container. There's about 20 strawberries in it. I've just thrown away 17 of them. I got 3 good strawberries out of a container of 20. And boy, was I taken for a ride. They all look good from the outside, but you cut into them. Rotten strawberries, man. I ain't eating rotten fruit. I've been on the toilet for 3 days before. Not a pleasant ride. Not at all. True, it cleans out your system, but in a very agonizing manner. No, I'm not eating bad fruit. No. It's not my first rodeo with bad fruit. So I eat the three little strawberries, and it's done. $1.50 for three strawberries. What I thought was ecstatically incredible was horribly, horrifically awful. And then I thought, Ron, what have we learned here? Well, what we learned was things can look wonderful, rosy on the outside, and as soon as you get into them, you find out they're really rotten on the inside. What analogy could I make with people? Alexa, do you know?
Sorry, I don't know that.
On the air everywhere, this is New England Broadcasting.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It's the Ron Van Dam Show.
Thank you.
Hold on tight, things can get a bit weird, if you like that sort of thing.
Thank you. Welcome to the program. It is the Ron Van Dam Show. I am the person whom you decided to click on. Hi! You're going to regret this. I swear you're going to regret this. I really thought that Alexa was mad at me because I would ask her questions on the machine and she would not respond to me. No matter what I asked, she would not respond. And then I realized the unit was unplugged, and I thought she was just like giving me the cold shoulder or whatever she has for body parts, but she was simply unplugged. Another analogy. What does that mean? Because we talk to people and we want to have conversation and get answers and get a response from them, and they don't give it to us, and then we find out that they had unplugged from us, and all we had to do was plug them back in, and then we could be on the same page again. That's the lesson there. I already talked about the strawberries. Now I'm done. This could be a very short show. I hear stories that the Alexa thing is actually listening to you and recording everything that you say, whether you talk to her or not. And at first that bothered me, and then I realized, well, that's just a typical relationship with a woman. Ooh, Ron, you didn't say that. Yeah, it'd be the same thing. If the voice on the Alexa thing was a man like Alex, I'd say the same thing. They should have an Alex voice so that girls can hear a man's voice. Unless you're asking it for directions, then you don't want to hear that. Well, kids are back in school. Thank God. Those little bastards were hanging out for months, just walking around with nothing to do. Now they're back in school where they belong, under the care and supervision of another adult other than you. There was a commercial for, I think it was Toys R Us or Staples. I think it was Staples, that office supply store. One of the few left, and the mother is shopping in the Staples store with her kids, and they're picking out the notebooks and the pencils, and the kids don't look real happy. because that's doing that means, I'm going back to prison, which is school to them. It is prison. School is prison. You go there and you can't leave. And it's a sentence that lasts at least 12 years. For some kids, a lot longer. So I get it. I get the reaction of the kids. They're just drooping down the aisles like, oh, crap, here we go again. The mother is like dancing down the aisles. She is so happy. There's drool dripping from her mouth. She just ecstatically walking down the aisles. Because to her, this means like total freedom. Of course, that's not a sexist comment. If you're a single parent and you're a male, you would also feel that great relief. But we still depict it as the mother going down the aisle with the kids in the office supply store. Actually, most parents don't bring their kids to Staples. It's a little expensive. They bring them to Walmart. And nobody's really happy in there at all. Nobody. It's like the motor vehicle department. They hire people that are by, just by personality, not happy people. I wouldn't say they're ex-convicts necessarily, but they certainly date them. So no, they don't. That's a horrible thing to say. Is it really though? Is it really? I can't. I don't know anybody personally that works in the motor vehicle department anywhere. But I venture to say, if you did a background check, you would find that there's a lot of depression involved here. A lot of depression. A lot of anger. A lot of abuse as a child. I mean, there's got to be some reason that these people at the motor vehicle department just have no compassion for human beings whatsoever. None. They're from the Donald Trump school of no empathy. They treat you like a license plate number is what they do. I've never heard a motor vehicle department employee, when you finally get to the front of the line or when they call your number, I've never heard them say sorry for the wait. If they do, it's sarcastic. Sorry for the wait. It makes such a difference. It really does. You walk into a store, and you're going shopping, and if the employees are like really happy, it's like, wow, I want to be there. It's like a friend, a friend is always down and depressed and negative. You want to get out of there as fast as possible. And that's not fun. You're just a sounding board for their complaints. For many people, that's called a relationship. But if somebody's cheery and bright and positive, I mean, not overly, that's absurd. But, just a pleasant person, has a conversation, you say something, they say something, you say something, they say something, and you're clicking, and you're having a good time. Those people, you want to stay with them forever. Well, forever's a long time, actually. I say 10 minutes. People I don't like, I don't want to be there for more than 30, 35 seconds. People I like, I'll go 10 minutes. I'll go 10 minutes, maybe even 10 and a half minutes. Pushing it, but maybe. So yeah. I did a whole show about the motor vehicle department about 5 years ago, and everybody agreed with me. Yeah, they did. Those that listened to the show said, Ron, I agree with you entirely about the motor vehicle department. Thank you very much. Thank you. To me, that's like bonding. That's a bonding experience. I hate the motor vehicle department. Hey, me too. Wow, we should get out. We should go to dinner together. We have that in common. Everybody's got that in common. I wonder if people who work at the motor vehicle department, when they want to renew their license or something, I wonder if they have to stand in line and wait. I think it'd be good education for them if they just could understand what human beings go through. You walk in and there's a long line to find out exactly why you're there at all. And then once they do, they give you a number and you sit on a bench for what seems to be 17 days. It's probably 7 hours. And you wait for them to call your number. And then when you get to the counter, it's like the pearly gates to heaven have opened up. Finally, the end of this cosmic long wait. Does it take longer to travel to Mars or to get your license renewed? And they dick with you. They do. They do. They give you a number A87, and you look at it and go, oh my God, 87. You sit on the bench, and then they have this big digital number thing, and it tells you like which number is next, and it's like A82, and you go, whoa, I'm only 5 away. Well, you thought you were 5 away. They're on A82. You got A85. The next number they call, W17. What's W? What's with the W? Well, I'm still probably next in the A's. That won't be. I'm pretty close in the A's. Next number that comes up, Z27. Z, what we got Z's now? 3 hours later, you're only 4 numbers away. 3 hours previous, you were 5 numbers away. They dick with you. They do that on purpose for no reason whatsoever. Motor vehicle departments do not renew licenses. They test your frustration level. That's what they do. It's a stress test. If you're having heart problems, your doctor used to put you on a treadmill and see how long you can do that until you faint. That's your stress level. Now they don't bother with that. They just send you to the motor vehicle department and see how long you can sit there before you explode. That's the new stress test. Speaking of stress, I think I said this a few shows ago. I know I did. I'm scheduled for a colonoscopy at the end of October. Someone's hired a camera crew to take a journey through my ass and see if they can find some stuff inside that may not be appropriate for that area. And it's not the first time I've had one. Second time. And I'm not familiar with the doctor that's going to be probing me. I think first we should have a relationship. I should maybe go to the movies with him or a dinner at least before he goes probing my anal cavities. As I said, I don't mind the probing itself. I'm on the propofol. They give you some kind of drug, which is Michael Jackson good. Actually, Michael Jackson not good. He took too much of the stuff and never woke up. I don't think that's going to happen here. At least I hope it's not. Now, my problem is the preparation for this. The stuff that you drink that cleans out your system to the point where either you're vomiting or expelling. You're expelling from every area, from your mouth, from your anus. I got shit coming out of my eyes. I mean, my nose runs, everything. I get completely drained. It's like getting an oil change. Well, before we put in the fresh oil, we got to drain all the bad oil out of you. That's what they're doing. They're draining the bad oil out of me. Then they're taking a camera in there to, I guess, do a reality television show. Scrape out whatever weird kind of little polyp moles are sitting there. And then they say, go on, but eat carefully, eat slowly. I guess the day before, I can only have Jell-O. I don't like Jell-O. I don't like the consistency of Jell-O. I'm not into gelatin. Never was. And was not a gelatin guy. All those Jell-O commercials when I was growing up made me sick. I don't like Jell-O. I don't think my food should be wiggling. It's not a motion that I want my food to have. Stuff that jiggles just before I eat it is probably not going to be very pleasant. They try to make Jell-O pleasant by giving it to you in many different artificial flavors. I mean, I've had cherry Jell-O before. There ain't no cherries in it. I've had lime Jell-O. It's no limes. Now, because there's no actual fruit in it, we just call them the colors. You're going to have red Jell-O. Red Jell-O. Isn't that like cherry or strawberry? Nah, it's just red. We don't even bother anymore. Nobody's buying that fruit thing. We just call it different colors. It's just a colorful thing is really all it is. Wow, you really gave up, didn't you? Well, the only reason people eat Jell-O is they're going to have a colonoscopy. That's true, isn't it? Yeah, it is, yeah. I don't know. I'm all set to go, though. I'm all set. Anyway, it is a Ron Van Dam show. I've got a great guest coming up. We're going to talk about the opioid thing, but not in a boring way, because everybody talks about that. It's a horrible epidemic, and now we're trying to figure out who's at fault here. Is it the human being that doesn't know how to regulate oneself or gets hooked on things like phonics? That was horrible. I don't even know what hooked on phonics is. Do you remember this? You old enough to remember hooked on phonics? I don't know what a phonic is, but you make it sound like it's a horrible addiction. Now that might be a little not in good taste. So what do you do with this opioid stuff? And what do you do with your pills? And I mean, you can't just throw them in the garbage. People sell those things illegally. Is it the pharmaceutical companies that are just like overdosing us on these painkillers? We'll talk to our guest about that in a different kind of way. You know, probably a different way than you've heard it discussed before. We'll do that momentarily. Right now, I need to take a break, and I know you do too. But please don't leave the room because you won't come back. I know this. This has happened before. You'll never return. I know it. I realize it. I wouldn't. So just hold on for 40 seconds, okay?
Here on the Ron Van Dam Show, our policy is anything goes.
Do not twist my nipples.
Okay, almost anything goes. You're listening to the Ron Van Dam Podcast.
That's what it is, basically. It is a podcast because it's on the internet, but we're all over the freaking thing. We're on the YouTube every day. Soon we're going to be doing a live YouTube broadcast every once in a while, at least on a weekly basis. We'll tell you about that. You won't be available, so it really doesn't really matter. And we're on the SoundCloud and the iTunes and the TuneIn Radio and all that stuff. I can't even name all of them. We're on all those things. And then we're picked up by various radio stations all across this wonderful country of ours. So that's it. I've exposed myself to the max. I've exposed myself to Max. I don't know who Max is, but there you have it. That's a story that I'm going to stick with. I'm happy that kids are back to school. The only problem I have with this time of year, getting used to kids being back in school, are the damn school buses. And let's face it, you need school buses in order to bus the kids to where they need to go, to their educational prisons. But if you've ever driven behind a school bus, it's a trip to hell. I once followed a school bus trying to get home. The bus stopped like every 2 blocks. I couldn't pass the bus. You're not allowed to. Then you'd have to sit there for 3 minutes every time it stopped. And I thought, man, at what point is this school bus going to make a turn so I can just be on my way? And it was so hypnotic that I just followed the school bus. It wasn't even going. I didn't know where it was going. I just followed its route because I was just so used to being behind a school bus. It's crazy. Sometimes they leave a kid on a school bus at the end of the day. The school bus driver thinks that he or she has dropped off all the kids. They park the school bus, lock it up, go home, and then you find out one of the kids is still on the bus. Did you ever hear of this national program, No Kid Left Behind? That's what they were referring to. They weren't referring to the kids' education. They were referring to the fact that you shouldn't leave the kids behind locked in the school bus overnight. That's all they were saying. Is that a lot to ask? And I know most school bus drivers check the school bus, but you know what? I don't think they do. They do the last stop. They say, I'm getting out of here. This has been pure hell. No one should have a job like this. And they lock the bus up. And there's a kid in the back usually just sitting there doing his or her homework. And takes them a while to realize they've been locked in the bus overnight. It's crazy, man. When I was going to school, I was on a school bus like twice. I lived close enough to all the schools that I went to in New Jersey. I mean, not all over New Jersey, but in the town that I lived in, that I could walk to school. And I liked walking. It was good exercise. I was actually extremely skinny then because of that. Life is good when you walk all over the place. Kind of sucks when you have to drive everywhere. You actually notice it in your stomach area. I was very skinny. I walked everywhere. One day, my parents said, why don't you take the school bus, you idiot? So I did, and it was horrific. Do you know why it was horrific? Because other kids are on the school bus, too. That's a formula for disaster. You take school kids, put them all in a bus. You got problems. School kids should not be confined in a tube with 4 wheels on it. It's just trouble. So when I did the school bus just a few times, they had a school bus driver, a seasoned professional driver, and then they had a school bus monitor. It was another adult whom I guess was paid to be there, and the monitor just sat on the bus and made sure the kids didn't get out of hand, start throwing things at each other, hitting each other, walking around the bus while it was in motion. That was what the monitor did. They don't have them anymore because most school systems can't afford a school bus monitor. So now the kids are just like running all over the place. And the poor school bus driver, kids, sit down, kids, stop that. I want to stop this, but kids, sit down. So I'm going to stop this bus. Stop, kids. What a horrible job that is. It's easier to be a lion tamer. At least you got a whip and a chair and you're allowed to use it. School bus driver, come on, they should have their eyes on the road. You got a bunch of kids there. You're responsible for them, and the kids are running all over the place. Kids don't get it, man. Kids just don't get it. That's because they're kids. Never use that as an excuse. Well, kids will be kids. Yeah, that's the problem. Why, just because you're a kid, it means you're unruly? Is that the definition of a kid? In some cases, yes. Kids shouldn't be unruly. They should be learning to be ruly, not unruly. Anyway, getting all upset. There's your kids thing. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to our guest about the opioid pills. What the hell do you do these things? What happens when they get outdated? Where are you getting them from? Are you supposed to have them? What's going on? What's your favorite color? How many fingers am I holding up? Do you like calamari?
Hi, this is Bobby Marone, former heavyweight contender. But I hung up my boxing gloves to open the area's new favorite restaurant.
Here we go. It's called...
It's Headshots. Jesus, give me a minute, would you?
Sorry.
Hey, do you love calamari? Then you need to come to Headshots this month for our Carnival of Calamari. That's right, we got tons of great recipes, all made with delicious chicken.
Calamari.
You gotta try our famous 1-2 punch pasta loaded with shrimp.
Also says calamari.
How about a nice beef lo mein piccata? And our spicy school bus Fra Diavolo?
How did that go?
Forget about it. You've never had calamari
Okay.
until you've had the Eiffel Tower at Headshots
I quit.
during our carnival of I Could Have Knocked Joe Frazier on his ass back in the day.
Oh my God.
Come in and ask for me, Bobby Calamari. Bobby Headshots. I'm the guy that owns the place.
Hello, Doctor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you very much. Dr. Jonah Stulberg joins us now. He is an MD, a PhD, an MPH, just a lot of stuff. He's the opioid stewardship lead at Northwestern Medicine, a general surgeon, health services research. God, you do more than I do, I got to tell you. All right.
Just a lot of school.
A lot of school. Well, you're using it. You're using it well. Okay. The opioid crisis is, my goodness, talked about a lot. Some people do something about it, such as your organization. Others continue to talk and discuss. Just recently in the news, of course, Johnson & Johnson being sued for more money than I could ever imagine for their hand in promoting this abuse. But I guess you're part of a team that's actually doing something about how to handle this.
That's right. I lead our opioid stewardship efforts here at Northwestern Medicine, and we're doing something about the opioid crisis today, and we have been for several years. And one of the reasons why I'm thrilled to be on your program is to tell you about the things that everyone who's listening can do today to combat the opioid crisis, and that's getting rid of any opioid pills that are in their medicine cabinet that they have access to, that they're no longer using, and get rid of them. Throw them away.
Yeah, and to explain that is that they are sold. You get them illegally at points, or even legally through somebody else, and then you sell them to other people, and that distributes them. So that's why we're talking about this.
That's correct. So that term is non-medical use or abuse of prescription drugs. Mm-hmm. And if you were to ask individuals who are hospitalized or ask individuals who have struggled with non-medical use and abuse of prescription drugs how they got their pills, 70% of them, so 3 out of 4, will tell you that they simply borrowed them or stole them from friends and family. In fact, most are not even purchasing them. There is no true exchange. It's just has commonly been seen as not a harmful practice, and folks use them not under the express oversight of a physician, but instead on their own. And that's what leads to accidental overdose deaths and is fueling, in many ways, our opioid crisis.
Yeah. All right, so we can even extend this beyond opioids for medications that have been prescribed for you that are a controlled substance, let's say. What do you do with them? You don't flush them down the toilet, obviously. What do you do? And there are answers to that.
There are answers to that. I would say the most important thing is to get them out of your house, out of your purse, out of your glove compartment, and out of harm's way. But to do that correctly, we do ask that you don't flush them down the toilet or simply throw them in the garbage, because they can have adverse environmental consequences. And there are more and more options available to us, regardless of where we live, to get rid of them and dispose of them through disposal centers. Most of those are boxes that live within a hospital, live within a pharmacy, or are at our local law enforcement agencies.
Right. Okay. I guess we don't think about just putting pills in a medicine cabinet or in a drawer. We figure that's it, they're ours, and that's about it. But yeah, they can be taken and stolen by your own family members. It sounds heartless and like, how could anybody do that? But it does happen, doesn't it?
It absolutely happens. And in fact, the more we learn about this crisis, the more we learn that that's how the overwhelming majority of people got their start.
Do these pills get less effective as they become expired? What's the deal with expired opioids? Do the expiration dates mean anything?
Yeah, so all medications have a date
Yeah.
at which they expire, and that can be a very important date for many, many prescriptions, many medications, not just opioids, and that's because the chemical composition of those medications is no longer the same. They won't work necessarily in the same way, but that's true for over-the-counter medications as well as prescription medications. Opioids, regardless of whether they're expired, are harmful to you and to your family members if not taken under the supervision of a physician. The dose can be very important, and not knowing that dose or not making sure that the dose is appropriate for you now is, can lead to unintended consequences.
Let me ask you a question. It's a little bit off the beaten path. Were opioids ever meant to be prescribed beyond a temporary period of time? Were they ever meant to be a daily medication for extended period?
Well, it's an interesting question that a lot of physicians have been doing research around, and you would get different opinions from the medical community. There are chronic pain management specialists who believe that they can be used safely on a chronic basis, and there are other chronic pain specialists who believe that they probably should not be or can't be. And so there is various opinions within the medical community on that exact topic.
So there are no pain medications that are like completely safe. That just doesn't exist for chronic pain.
Unfortunately, there are no medications that are completely safe, regardless of whether or not it's a prescription medication or an over-the-counter medication. And we know as a medical community that different prescriptions have different levels of risk with them. We have a specific schedule to that, and opioid medications are at the highest legally prescribed schedule, which is Schedule 2, and so we know they are in the class that is the highest risk for adverse consequences. That's why we have those schedules.
So very similar to a gun buyback program. There are kind of like opioid and controlled substance drug programs as well.
Yeah, we aren't typically buying them back. We're asking folks to get rid of them. But in the same vein, if there are excess medications around, we're trying to make it easy to do the right thing. We're trying to make it part of our culture that these medications do not simply just exist within society and freely available simply based on their quantity.
Is anybody ever embarrassed about handing them in, so to speak, that using that phrase, handing them in to a police department or a hospital? I mean, are they ever embarrassed doing that? Is there any reason? Is there any psychological thing to doing this?
There is absolutely no reason for people to be embarrassed, and I can't speak for everyone, so I don't know if people are, but they really, really should not be. And these programs are totally non-judgmental, no questions asked types of programs. We participate in the DEA National Drug Take-Back Day twice a year. There's one in April and one in October every year, and there has been for about 8 years now, and we've been participating for many years. And sometimes we do hear that people are just sort of embarrassed by just how many pills that they have laying around and how much stuff that they have. And we say this is a no questions asked problem. We just want them out of circulation. We just don't want them available for and in harm's way. And so I would tell you, putting these in hospitals, putting them in pharmacies is hopefully changing some of that stigma so that they're not only available for disposal in, say, law enforcement agencies.
I think some people are scared that, like, hey, where did you get all these? Were you really prescribed? So, but there's no reason to be paranoid. All right, so here's a big question. How we go about doing this? You said hospitals, some law enforcement, police departments, et cetera, some pharmacies. Where can we get that list and those suggestions?
Absolutely. So we've consolidated a lot of the information and much more on our website. It's NM for Northwestern Medicine, nm.org/radio. And there's several important links in there. One of them will take you right to trying to find your local disposal unit so that you can get rid of your medications today. But also you can learn a lot more about some of the efforts that we are doing to help change the culture around opioid prescribing and opioid disposal.
Good. That's a positive message. nm.org/radio. Dr. Stulberg, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That will do it for me today. Thank you to my guest. Very informative. Thank you so much for appearing before me. I'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new show. That sounds exciting. Let's find out if it is. The only way we're going to find out is if we meet here again tomorrow. Anytime you want, I'm always here. Yeah, you just click on me anytime. I'm subservient to you in that regard. It's no problem because, no problem. You're welcome. No problem. It's not a problem for me because this show just sits here and you listen to it when you want to. It's really simple. It's a nice deal. Have yourselves a wonderful day. By the way, no charge for you this week. Totally free for this week. Wish you peace.